Democracy begins in Iowa. You're the one that have the starting gun.
All eyes will be on Iowa February 3rd as the caucuses kick off the presidential race. They're basically the playoffs leading up to the 2020 election. Okay, but what exactly are the Iowa caucuses? The Iowa caucuses are just the first step in the state's presidential nomination process. These political meetings are held across the state for registered voters to show support for a specific candidate. Caucus goers aren't technically voting for candidates. Instead, they're voting for the delegates who support a specific candidate. So why are the caucuses so important? What's with all the hoopla? For decades, Iowa has been the first in the nation to hold caucuses, which can highlight early leaders in the presidential race. Since 2000, every Democratic caucus winner has won the party's nomination. But the opposite is true for Republicans. None of the Iowa GOP caucus winners have gone on to win the party's nomination since George W. Bush in 2000. What happens on Iowa caucus night? The Iowa caucuses aren't elections. Therefore, it's not a typical election process. First rule of caucus night, show up by 7 p.m. or get the boot. Other than that, there are different rules for the GOP and the Dems. The GOP caucus process is pretty simple. Iowa voters listen to speeches from candidate representatives. Caucus goers then pick a candidate by secret ballot. Votes are tallied up and delegates are selected to attend county conventions. But these aren't the same delegates who attend the national convention. The Democratic process is a bit more complicated. Like Republicans, campaign representatives make the case for their candidate. But unlike Republicans, Democrats have to publicly show their support for a candidate. Caucus goers physically separate into groups that match their desired candidate. It's kind of like a junior high dance. And to make participation more accessible this year, the Iowa Democratic Party has approved 99 satellite locations, from Arizona all the way to Scotland. Each candidate has to get at least 15% viability or support based on the total number of people in the room. And candidates who don't have the support are weeded out. But here's where some intense wooing can take place. Supporters can try to put their candidate back in the running by persuading others to join their group, or they can choose to join another candidate's group. When all candidates have 15% support, the number of delegates for each group is determined. Like the GOP, those delegates go on to the county conventions. The next few states to hold caucuses or primaries will be New Hampshire, Nevada, and South Carolina. In July, the Democratic Party will officially nominate its presidential candidate. Then it will be the Republicans' turn in August. That's when we'll see if Iowans once again predicted the Democratic Party nominee or didn't predict the Republican nominee.